Hello, it's James from XRobots.co.uk. This is part 13 of my BB-8 Droid version 3. Last time I did quite a lot of driving testing, having tuned up my PID controllers to improve stability, and I've done a little bit more work on it, so we're going to test it in a moment. I can steer a lot better, and also I've changed the acceleration and deceleration so it ramps up and down a lot cleaner, and it's slightly less jerky and doesn't throw the head so much, unless you crash or just smash it off, in which case it's likely that it will. So last time I also did some work on the cosmetics of the head, and I've built this head to look like the Cutaways book in the Star Wars Episode 7 Visual Dictionary. So I'm going to be putting some more stuff in there today, probably including the electronics and some LEDs and stuff like that. But first of all, let's give it another driving test. I've configured some acceleration and deceleration, so now if I ramp up by pushing the stick forward, it should slowly catch up and then slowly ramp down fairly gracefully. There's still a little bit of head dip when it stops, but that's, I think, is because there's not enough mass in the bottom of my ball and I don't want to make it much heavier. Let's just drive back the other way. I've got quite a good turning circle on this now. If I can do a drive in a little curve, let's go over to its right and back over to the left. So it should be better to avoid objects. Just going to try and reverse out through that doorway. There we go. It should recover from the lean fairly quickly. Just need to leave that stopping distance for it. Seems much easier to control now. It's less likely I'm going to crash. Oh well, so much for that. Let's just drive out here and so I can make little turns like that, which I quite like. If I'm lucky, I can do it backwards as well if I get the sticks the right way round. No, maybe not. Let's try this. There we go. That's the sort of thing. So of course all the other features still work, so moving around and so on seems to work quite well. Spinning on the spot probably works. Let's just move off that gap in the tiles onto a smooth bit. I should be able to drive through the doorway. Okay, maybe not. I can't even see the door from here, hence crashing completely into the frame and not going through the door at all, but I've turned it round now. Let's just drive out of there. Come round this way a bit. There we go. So it's got quite a good turning circle. Just going to reverse back up, see if I can get anywhere near the doorway. No, not really. Oh well, let's drive over and have a look at R6. Might have to do a 3-point turn. There we go, and that's its natural stop. Almost got it, just have to anticipate the deceleration, but it should be a much smoother drive. There we go, let's say hello to BB-8 version 1 in the other corner. I'm getting the hang of it, but not quite as good as a stage droid yet. Don't think I'd want to have to use it for anything where I had to drive to a specific place. Still quite challenging. So this might be the best I can get out of this mechanical design. I'm pretty happy with the stabilization on the whole. Yeah, driving slow definitely makes it easier. Whoops. Yeah, just need to practice driving, I think. See if I can drive through that door. I might just move around here so I can see it. Well, not really. Nearly got there. The plan for my head was it was a cutaway as per the Episode 7 Visual Dictionary, so there's sections where we can see things inside. So this is the main section we can see in the book, so I'm going to put some fake stuff in there, obviously suspended on the part that turns. The other section is going to have real electronics in it, and that's what we're going to work on today to try and get the lights working. So down here I've got a number of things. Let's just see if I can zoom in a bit. Great, so I'm going to use a tiny battery to power this, which is a 650 milliamp hour 3.7 volt LiPo, so a single cell. I've got a couple, I'm only going to have one installed at a time. And I need to run an Arduino, so I'm using the Pro Mini that's got no serial interface on, so it's slightly lower power. Draws about 20 milliamps, which is okay. And the lights are NeoPixels, which even if they're on maximum are only 60 milliamps. So with all of that, we should still get a few hours use out of one battery. There's one normal 20 milliamp LED that will be on all the time, which will be the light in the front of the eyepiece here. So that's all well and good. Obviously this is a 5 volt Arduino though, so we need a special board, and I've got this Adafruit board which is a boost adapter, and that in fact will take the 3.7 volt LiPo. It doesn't plug in because it's the wrong connector. I'm going to change it for a JST, and I've got a big bag of them here. All the connections are broken out in fact. So it takes 3.7 volts and turns it into 5 volts to power 5 volt things, and it's also got this USB charge thing, so you can charge it off a USB port, and then it's got various lights that indicate when it's charged and so on. And it won't let the battery run flat too much, it automatically turns off, so it's basically a proper battery management board. Obviously all these things are really lightweight, plus a little switch to turn the head on and off, which will obviously be just inside one of the panels there. So the good thing about this board, of course, it's USB, so in fact if I want to charge it, I can do so from my transmitter, because this has got a USB boost adapter on the back powering it. So if I just take a USB cable, plug that into the spare port, just disconnect the transmitter, plug that into this board, there we go, turn on my battery there, we should see, yeah, we've got lights there, trying to charge a battery that's not connected at the moment, so I need to connect the battery up and see what happens, but I think that's going to be quite good. I've connected my battery up now and I've got the blue light on, and these are labelled 5 volts and ground, so if I now go onto there we should get 5 volts on the meter, even though it's a 3.7 volt LiPo, which is good. And I've got a USB boost adapter here. I'm just going to plug into the cable that's plugged in. There we go, and we've now got a charge light, so that looks rather good. I've printed this additional ring here which fits inside. I can just shove it through. And that is going to fit onto the supports that are already in there. It's going to be solvent welded in eventually when I've fitted everything. For now it snaps in quite nicely. And that gives me a place to mount things inside. So my electronics boards are going to be mounted in the back here. And I'm going to stick the battery right in the middle, and I'm using some of that 3M dual lock stuff, which is a bit like Velcro, but it's really tough and never wears out. And I'm going to put the battery as close to the middle as I can, so it doesn't have too much resistance to turning or cause any more wobble. Obviously masses in the middle don't need so much force to turn, but ones on the outside do, so they have more inertia. And of course on this side I'll have some fake electronics that's going to consist of a couple of NeoPixels and lots of wires and some very light 3D printed things. I also need to put the LEDs in the eye and so on, so I need to bore a hole in there for my red LED, put an LED behind there and do something about this panel. So what I've decided I'm going to do is use a 3D printed thing for both of those that sits behind, and I'm just going to put the LEDs in it so they actually diffuse through the styrene, and we'll see how we get on with that. Obviously it's black so it doesn't let light spread everywhere, so we'll put a NeoPixel in the back, just stick that there, then I'll make the orange bezel around it, and that's the round one which goes behind the little thing at the bottom there. Obviously I need to make a hole as well for the holo projector and fit a lens at some point. So those bits and pieces are fitted. I've put a red LED in the eye and cut a hole here. I need to make a diffuser, put my NeoPixel in, and I've got various other things floating around. So I've now fitted my electronics to this nice panel in the back, and I've left some holes for fake wires. So if we turn this on, we should hopefully see these NeoPixels here flashing away. They kind of change colour and do things, and those three are going to be stuck onto some pieces in here. We've got the red LED in the eye, and these come on when I shift it forward. So I've put a tilt switch inside, so this panel lights up, these flash on and off. Obviously these need some clear diffusers and things in there, so it should go for a cycle. Does that a couple of times and turns off, and all the time these LEDs still flash and change colours. So I've got some multitasking code which you can find on my GitHub. Alright, so this seems to diffuse quite well. There's another one here. So what I've done is made some 3D printed parts, and some of these I've painted. So this is my Ollie Steep 4D data port. And this is my, where is it now? This piece here is my Towers Lee 15 accelerometer. Obviously these are just 3D printed parts. I'm going to put some pins in there. And those parts are named in the book, but they were named after the R2-D2 builders who worked at Pinewood on the movie, who built the real R2-D2, which is Oliver Steeples and Lee Towersy, of course. So there's another piece to fit there, and I've got another piece to fit behind here. And then lots of fake wires and things, and these are going to be my internal details. So I'm going to get all those glued on and the LEDs fitted into these panels and things that are currently floating around, and then I can put some other fake details in. It's quite early in the morning. I'm at West Quay Shopping Centre for a West Quay Comic Con, and I've got BB-8 so I can test it on the floor before all of the shoppers arrive. I'm here with So Make It, the Southampton makerspace. So we've got our setup here with BB-8, and we also have 3D printing going on. I'm trying to print Yoda's head in Ninja Flex at the moment to see what happens. I don't think I've tried a flexy one before. We'll see how that goes. And another 3D printer down here.
It's not designed to make fancy looking animations and stuff like that, lovely renders. That's not what it's focused on.
No, I like printing stuff out. I like
Pretty happy with how that driving test went in the shopping centre. I wasn't allowed to drive it around when all the people were there because it was a tripping hazard, but there we go, it should be good at other events. As long as there's lots of space to drive and nothing to crash into, then everything goes fine. There was a bit of head jitter there, and you probably saw that in one of the clips when it was driving away. So I think in future I might modify this and move up to having 4 magnets on this plate and 4 on the bottom, so it holds it on just that bit better instead of 3. But on the whole, basically everything works fine as long as I don't do anything stupid like crash. So now I'm going to get on and do the silver parts on all of these orange panels. As you'll have seen in the video, I put some lights and things in the head there, and of course if you tip it forward the other lights turn on, which looks okay. I need to put some more stuff in the head. I don't want it to be so kind of hollow. I don't really want to be able to see all the way through, so I was thinking about backing the insides with some black foam or something, but that'll do for now. Obviously I need to put the aerials on as well, but I will be coming back to do some more detailing on that in the future. Just starting to mark these panels out. These are my version 2 panels that, if you remember, I actually had these so they opened. And I'm going to be using the same 2 removable panels with the same patterns on, which were the biggest pieces, which are easier to make open. And I may well come back and have these as smart panels in a future episode, but for now these ones of course have the backs on. So I'm just going to paint them up, and if I come back and make extra panels, there'll be replacements for these. That one is all masked off. I've basically just stuck stripes of tape across it and then cut around where I'd drawn the marks with a sharp knife and just peeled off the sections to leave the pieces I need to paint. Here are my panels painted up. I've just used some silver spray paints. So, not looking too bad. Obviously the ones it drives on are going to get trashed more than these ones. I've also put the aerials on the head here, so I've used the aerials that I stole off version 2. which is a Linksys router aerial and a piece of wire with NinjaFlex ends. And both of these are embedded in NinjaFlex blocks, so if the head does fall off, they don't snap off, they're just fitted into rubber, so they'll probably come out. And the other one's got a NinjaFlex piece at the bottom there, and then it's just in this little extra section stuck into the head. It shouldn't actually be there, it should be just behind the other one, but there's nothing there to stick it to, so I've moved it over slightly. It's not quite in the right place, but it's growing on me, so we'll leave it like that for now. And here are the other panels all painted up. So I've got the patterns on there, I think, pretty accurately. I copied one of the toys again, like I did in version 2. So, looking okay, I think. Whoops. But yeah, still some weathering to do, but on the whole, pretty happy with the way that's looking. Let's just drive it back towards the camera. Looks good with its aerials on, obviously those lights flashing away in the head. That's the end of this episode. Next time I'm going to be coming back to finish off the details on this droid, which is mostly going to be sort of painting, weathering, and putting those diffusers and the eye lens in and those bits and pieces, and also the sounds. Then basically this one's actually finished, but I'm going to come back for one more episode after that and do something called Smart Panels, which will hopefully have some well-requested features in. So that basically leaves 2 more episodes in the series. I may do a version 4 in the future, but not as a priority, so that's pretty much going to be it for BB-8 building. Alright, that's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this project and other projects.